Hello everyone and welcome to a review of Zing-a-Zam. This is a brand new game from Brain Games that plays with 2 to 5 players and is aimed at 6+, so a family weight sort of card game. That's definitely sort of who this is aimed at. Just know I was provided the game for the review and I also do know the designer. That doesn't sort of stop the pros and cons that I'll try and give you to let you know if it's a game for you or not though. Now let's jump into roughly how the game plays and then I'll go on to the review. In Zing-a-Zam, everyone's playing with an identical deck of cards, though each is themed around a different animal. So you'll pick which animal you want to represent at the start of the game and take those cards. You'll shuffle those cards and then, unlike most games where you'll fan them so you can see all of them, you'll do the reverse. You'll make it so you can't see any of the cards, but your opponents can. And then you can choose one of them to turn around. Throughout Zing-a-Zam, you'll be playing one card from your hand, whether it's facing you or not, into the middle, trying to win as many tricks as possible. When you win a trick, you get all of the cards that were played in that round and you add them to your scoring pile, each being worth a point. Typically, how do you win a trick? Well, you play the card with the highest number, though, as we'll come on to in a minute with some of the card abilities, there are some things that break the rules. Let's say in a 3-player game, the first player chooses a card that they can see, it's a 5, they play it down, they activate its power. The next person around the table chooses one of their cards they can't see the number of. It's only a 4, it's not higher, but they still activate the power. Then you can see one of the cards and it's a 7 from your hand. You play that. It's the highest card, so you win the trick after activating your power. You're going to scoop up all those cards and put them into your scoring pile. Each card does have its own powers, so some will mean you're rotating a card in your hand so you get a little bit more information. Some will be screwing over an opponent, skipping their turn. Some even allow you to draw from a second, like a special off to the side cat deck. And they're a range of numbers that are going to help you. You're going to see another number and it will have a power on it. So it's just giving you a little bit more choice. And when one person has played their last card, at the end, once you've worked out who's won those cards, then that game is over. Simply count up the number of cards you've won and whoever's got the most wins. So now you know roughly how the game plays, let's go through the pros and cons to see if this is a game for you. Now first of all, the pros. If you are looking for a really snappy game, this is a really quick one when it hits the table. At 2-player, the lowest player count, you can be done in literally like 5 minutes from getting the game off like the shelf, playing it and going, and you're probably then going to want to shuffle your cards back up and go again. While often I found I was wanting more information to see at least another one of the cards in my hand, well, that does really help the family audience that the game is aimed at. It means it's very much a level playing field because it introduces that sort of extra randomness, that bit of luck of you don't know what card you're playing from your hand. Now you can try and read opponents, you could sort of go to take one and if they sort of look happy maybe change your mind, but you really don't know what those cards that are facing away from you are. So it doesn't really matter what age you are, you're sort of kind of looking for that little bit of luck, but also using a bit of knowledge of, you know, a couple of your cards sort of as the game goes on of what they are, and when you want to use those, it feels really good. So even though it is sort of great for that family audience of that randomness, you do get that bit of information and you can use it to hopefully win or at least sort of maybe get a card from someone else. With each card in your hand having a power, and everyone's got the same set of cards. Like, so, you know, it's not like one person has this ability and you don't. Everyone's got the same cards, it's just when you play them, that ability triggers. I would have liked to have seen in the box included some sort of cheat sheet cards just for the first game or so. Because while it is in the rule book, there's only one rule book, kind of a rule sheet really, it's very, very small. And it's got all the abilities listed on there. Well, it would have been nice for each player to have a card that just quickly lists what each power does. Because the iconography is okay. Like, for instance, the best example I would say is the power to turn a card around is the like a hurricane-y sort of thing, because that's what the power is called. And once you've kind of got that logic into your head of, oh, it's like a twisting, twister, hurricane, yeah, you turn a card around, the iconography completely makes sense. But for that first play, it would have been good for some players definitely to have had that little cheat sheet in front of them. And when you've got more than 2 players, where you kind of could have the rulebook between them, if you've got the full player count of 4 around the table, well, not everyone's going to be able to see that sort of cheat sheet, so everyone having their own cards would have been really nice. One thing I did find a little surprising about the production quality that I'm not used to with Brain Games' other card games, so it might just be my deck, but I've still got to sort of say about it, is that the cards were a little bit sticky sort of when they came out the box. After a bit of shuffling and stuff like that, it really did start to improve, but it just meant that a couple of the cards would stick together, so when you're fanning your hand out, that you'd have to really make sure that you'd sort of split the cards apart so everyone else could see your cards and you could see that this is the number of cards you've got left. It's a bit of an oddity. Like I say, Brain Games are normally really good for their production quality and card quality, so hopefully it was just my version, but yeah, they stuck together a tad. For me personally, Zing-a-Zam has a little bit too much luck and randomness because you just don't necessarily have enough information, because you can only see one of your cards and the rest you're sort of going off the faces of the others around the table. But that really does help a family audience sort of level the playing field. So if you're playing with someone that's never played games like modern games before, or if you're playing with kids or whatever, well, that would be a nice sort of leveler of the playing field. It's a really quick and snappy game, so you could easily play one game, shuffle up and go again, and you're probably going to want to have that sort of rematch. I like that all the cards have powers, and after a game it's really obvious you've seen pretty much every power that's possible, and well, you pick them up super quickly despite every card in your hand at the start having a different ability. So a fun one that personally I probably won't go back to, but I can see families really sort of enjoying this one, as it's that sort of light-hearted, fast card game with sort of those fun things like, oh, you're skipping a turn, oh, I'm stealing a card from you, I'm forcing you to play this card, oh, I get to have a look and see what another one of my cards is. You get those little bits of fun that a family game should have, and that's Zing-a-Zam. Let us know in the comments section below if you've played Zing-a-Zam. What did you think of it? Has it really worked for your family? Hopefully it has. And well, until next time, have a Zing-a-Zam filled day.